There was a time when I was younger and less along the path than I am now, wherever that is. And when I prayed, it was basically a wish list. Please, God, make this happen. Please, God, let that be the way that I like it. Please, God, don't let this be the way that I don't like it. God as my personal lamp, rubbing the lamp for the genie, 3 wishes, my ATM machine of my will. And as Stuart Smalley would say, and that's okay. Because that's where I was then, and God received me as I was then, and understood and dealt with me as I was then. But eventually we get more experience, we grow, we mature, we start to see things from a different angle, a higher perspective perhaps. And I started to realize, it's really petty and actually kind of, it's almost offensive to pray for petty, low-level things such as material gain. You know how many people pray, God, give me money, God, give me money, those kind of things. God, let me win the lottery, I want a new car. To some extent, depending on context, okay, fine, but if that characterizes the nature of your prayer life, that's way off, okay? And so, I started to realize, wow, what you pray for is something that says a lot about your consciousness and your awareness, your understanding, and frankly, your trust. And so eventually, when a tremendously scary and awful thing happened in my life involving somebody I care for beyond all expression, I initially set out in sort of a panic, like, oh no, please don't let this happen. And it was for her sake, but also I don't want to have to deal with that happening to her either. There is an element of self in that. I don't want that to happen to her at all. And also I don't want to have the experience of that happening to her either. And I started off sort of like in a panic, like in a traumatic, state of disbelief and shock, like, no, this cannot be. And it wasn't just a couple of days that my dear friend Bob, who is just a wellspring and a fountain of profound wisdom, all wrapped up in a lovable teddy bear, best bud, big brother package, which makes him the best friend a guy could ever have. And I have a lot of good friends, but he's the only one that's really like that. And I'm speaking of that quality of him now, not to exclude any of my other great friends. But when it comes to this spiritual and empathy kind of stuff, he's unmatched. He said to me, why don't you just pray for whatever's best for her? What am I doing? Thank you. I needed that little Zen slap on the head with the bamboo rod. I needed that. And then it made me remember what my friend Deborah said years ago. Somebody said, will you please pray with me, pray for me, I'm going through a terrible time, something. And she said, I just pray for the most benevolent outcome. And I thought, yeah, that kind of goes along with what Bob said. And then came, and I made, I think, 2 episodes about it. One of them called Upgrade Your Prayer, the other called The Highest Prayer. I'm not sure if that's the exact titles, but that was basically the gist. And I refined that and let it gestate and marinate and be born from what Bob and Deborah had contributed to my consciousness. And the prayer that I polished up from there was, I rejoice in thankfulness for your highest good, in the most benevolent outcome of divine love. Do you know that rejoicing, joy, is even a higher frequency than love? So I rejoice in what? Thankfulness. Ooh, that's magic. For what? For what I want? No, for your highest good. In what context? in the most benevolent outcome of divine love, according to God's will. Because whatever is God's will, and if you need to insert another word or refine what I'm saying into a different context, go ahead. Package it however it works for you, because God presents to us as we are best able to receive God anyway. So, maybe some people say universe, which to me is a creation. But anyway, say life, whatever, however you feel more comfortable, okay? So I rejoice in thankfulness for your highest good in the most benevolent outcome of divine love, according to God's will. I do not define what that needs to be. I do not put my fingertips on it. It does not have my fingerprints. It's whatever is the highest good, beyond my comprehension of whatever that is, which I know is far higher than my own personal, limited, subjective, imperfect understanding anyway. But I know that, so I just bypass it with that prayer. And that has served me quite well for like 4 or 5 years. But now, there's been another shift. And it came to me after sort of falling out of practicing the prayer I just shared with you, or that level of prayer and understanding. I sort of fell out of it when another impossibly grievous, this cannot happen situation came into my life. And I just said, look, I know about all that, thy will be done stuff and the highest good, and I know about that all, this cannot happen. And I pray for the exact opposite with every particle of my soul. And it happened anyway. And it was, I can't put into words. It broke me. But it didn't just break me. It broke another level of the onion that's constantly got another layer peeling all, another unfolding of the white lotus within me, however you want to think of it. It broke another level that I didn't know at the time when that highest prayer came to me. I didn't know was still there. And it was kind of like, there's no atheists in a foxhole. Well, when I was faced with an unbearable amount of pain from something that I didn't want to happen, and then it did, despite my pleading prayers, something in me died. But also something else in me died that needed to go away. And that was, I believe, the last vestige, the last remaining crumbs of the desire or the tendency to ask God to do things for you or make things go the way you think they should be. That childish element died. And I have to be honest with you, it was more painful than I am able to express, and I won't even get into it in the video. But where I have arrived to after about 7 or 8 weeks or so after that is a different, and I think a higher awareness of prayer. And it is that whatever will be, and I am thankful. And so the prayer is not, please make this go that way, please do this. There's no engineering, there's no meddling, there's no begging, there's no pleading, there's no asking for. There's just things will go as they go according to the divine plan, which I do not fully understand, but that I have learned to not meddle with and interfere with or try to hijack or short circuit or override. And what has come to me about 2 days ago, I needed to share with you, and here it is. My prayer is thankfulness. That's it. My prayer is thankfulness. I'm not asking for anything anymore. And it's not this crestfallen, disheartening, capitulation or brokenness. It's a realization that the modes and modalities and models that I had been gradually letting go of needed to all be gone now. And what's left is a silent, peaceful trust with a little bounce that comes up called thankfulness. And I offer this to you. Ingest it into your being. Let it marinate. Let it gestate. Let it become a part of your consciousness. Let it ferment and gradually sprout and blossom within you. At some